And we're live, everyone, with the one and only Joe Santos, aka Coding Phase, aka DR Nightmare. That's gonna catch on, I swear.
Hey, we here, kids. We don't made it. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I've been meaning to get you on the show, man. But you know what? When you're your own boss, dude, making money, we work around your time.
Yeah, my fault, bro. You know how I am spontaneous. The tech rally came through. He hit me on a text. He's like, "Yo, how you doing?" I said, "Yo, bro, you want to go live?" He's like, "All right, cool. So I guess I gotta go live now."
Nah, bro. If anything, I was throwing these breadcrumbs at you. I was like, "Hey, how you feeling tonight?"
He's throwing it out there. He's like, "Yeah, just a little alley oop." He's by the rim, just throwing that shit in the air for no reason. He's like, "Let me see if he catches it and dunks it."
But man, dude, I gotta ask you, dude. Do you ever take breaks? When do you ever
today
take
I took a break. I relaxed. I chilled. Took the kids to the mall. You know what I mean? We bought a little something. Got some Valentino for the feet. You know what I mean? And a little something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to start my day off. Went to the spa. Went to my barber in the hood. He said, "Hold on, Joe. I got you." Gave me a nice little lineup. Got the earrings on. You already know once the earrings is on, it's another vibe. Okay, so
gotta get that upgrade, man. I
gotta get the upgrade, man. This is my day off. When you see me looking like, yo, who's this guy with the neck beard? And I'm code mode. Okay, when you see me with a fresh shape up, he's back. Okay, so we here. Okay, I had a day off today.
But I gotta ask, dude, like if you've got a nice haircut, why are you wearing that hat, bro? You gotta like,
hey man, you already know, bro. Look, this the swag, this the sauce, man.
No, man, dude. But I mean, I've been watching all your live streams, so I know what you're doing on, what you're working on. But dude, are you gonna give HBO a run for its money?
I know, man. This is what we're doing right now. We're actually building pretty much HBO. The streaming service, HBO Max on codingphase.com. So it's a real application. Do show up, be like, yo, hold on, can we build a Hulu clone? And it'll be like one feature. Connect to the API, get the posters, and that's it. Call it a day. It's like, here you go, kiddos. Y'all get the crumbs.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think people underestimate how long it takes to build a course, let alone like actually building the project is already long enough, but you have to record, you have to like explain what you're thinking. Oh man, dude, that it's a grind, dude. I tried to do like a 24 video tutorial and it was just like, never again. I want to do this. So kudos to you, man.
Yeah, no, it gets crazy, man. It gets crazy, especially for me. I feel like sometimes I try to do so much to really simulate how it is at work. So that's what it really takes time, because if I was to just come in and be like, guys, I'm just gonna do a quick crash course, here's a little tutorial, here's a to-do app, and here you go. At the end of the day, anybody can provide that, right? You could go to the documentation, they have a to-do app there. Okay. But now it's like at Coding Phase, I try to go out of my way to really prepare people and just give them a glimpse, keep all the errors, show all the problems that we face, right? Sometimes people come in and give you the final project. And I don't like to do that because you never learn like that, right? And you kind of learn by seeing the problems that you face, the things that you have to refactor later on. So it's like I went in, even this project that we're building right now, this HBO Max, basically we could say upgrade, right? It's not even a clone, it's an upgrade to what they already have. And basically what I'm doing is I'm building it as if I was building this application myself. So I'm going through the process of prototyping, going in, building things, and as we go, we're adding new features that we still got to go back into other components and fix things up and upgrade them so it could work with the new features. Sometimes, I mean, we could say all the time, you don't get that from any of the courses. You're getting just the final project and that's it. But you don't get to see how the person was thinking and how they came to that conclusion and you know, to the end of the final project, you know?
Yeah, I think people just underestimate how long it actually takes to build anything, like anything meaningful, right? Like it's just like there's just so many like courses or even just like small like tutorials out there. It's just like they kind of half finished, half baked, if you want to call it, and then they just kind of like be like, all right, now figure it out on your own, more or less. But
go find the next
announcements. I got two announcements. The first one is I got a shout out to this Crisp guy. Crisp. he said he just got a job. So hey, kudos to this guy, man. Chris, congratulations, brother. You did it. You're gonna be a software developer. Work hard, and rooting for you, brother. And two, I have 1,998 subscribers. So 2 more subscribers that I hit 2K.
Come on, guys. Subscribe to your boy Tech Rally right now. He about to hit 2,000. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's that mark, right?
It's time to make courses. It's time to make courses.
Stop everything that you're doing. You got 2,000 subscribers. You need to drop your course ASAP.
It's ready. Oh shit! Yeah, I hit 2,000. Hey, everyone, thank you.
You just got his Chris. You just got your first job. It's time to drop your first course.
You're gonna be at techrally.com/codingface affiliate links. You know, like get 25. We're gonna drop some more. No, but crazy. Today let's and you know what we're gonna be talking about. We're gonna be talking about React. We're gonna be talking about Shopify, and you know, let's dive into Joe Santos. Who is Joe Santos? You know, I made a video about you, and I saw like your little like how I became a developer maybe like 4 years ago, 4 years ago. It's like, you know, like production quality was not as good as it is now, you know, but I love that nice little forest background explaining. Like little Billy here explaining where he came from. Yeah. Like I'll leave it up to you. What do you want to talk about first, man?
Well, listen, guys, my name is Joe Santos, aka That Do This, aka your boy, aka your best friend, aka Joe from up the block, okay? Aka the connect, aka the plug, aka codingface.com. Okay.
Tech Rally.
It's Tech Rally. Yeah, so listen, I'm just a regular dude, just like every single one of you guys. Okay, I fell into this world of development really like an early age. I got introduced because I used to love Dragon Ball Z and things like that, and I built a website, but I left it alone for almost 10 years. And then at the age of 24, I was like, yo, I'm hearing that people are making money with this. I'm hearing that people are able to get a job without a degree. I'm hearing that people is coming in and going to boot camp for 3 months. And I always thought in my head, if somebody goes to a 3-month boot camp and they learn there, I could do that shit on my own in 6 months, right? Or I could do that shit on my own, in 3 months if I go in and apply myself and take it like how guys go to a boot camp, which is like 8 hours or more on a daily basis. So I went in, learned to code online. I went through all the platforms that you guys probably know yourselves too. My favorite one was one called Codeschool.com. Now it's bought by, I think, Pluralsight, and they buried it. They say, yo, hold on. The best thing that we have on the internet, because it's just like Google. Google goes in, Google and Facebook, they find that great company and be like, hold on, we're going to buy you out and then bury you under the ground. The best online school that was out here, Codeschool.com. So I learned a lot from there. And then, I was stupid at the time. I was like, man, I want to learn everything about web development. I want to become that guy that knows every single attribute, every single freaking method and function and everything that's inside of the language, right? And the whole freaking, the whole language of JavaScript, because I was really focused on JavaScript at the time. And I went in and I basically wasted a whole year, to be honest with you. I could have probably started working 2 months in after putting in the work, but I decided to go in and look at the job descriptions. And a lot of people still do this till this day, which is funny. Even though I've done a million videos telling people don't do this, people go in and look at the description and they try to learn every single thing in the job description. And you have to understand this. That's like a wish list. People go in, they wish they could find a guy that knows all of those things, right? Most of the time, guys that know all of those things have like 10 years and they're like CTO somewhere. You know what I mean? Like they're now applying to that bullshit company that you're trying to apply. You're like, what? Well, Billy's Pizzeria has got an opening position for developers, and you're trying to apply there, and they're trying to hire some guy that's been here for 20 years. Like, yeah, bro, he's not going to Billy's Pizzeria.
Yeah, you're like, oh, we need to know like Kubernetes, Docker, and also like, React and Webpack and JavaScript.
Every single thing that's under the freaking map. It's like when you seen those what's the thing that roadmap? There was a thing on
front end developer roadmap thing.
Yeah, on GitHub that was like a front end and also a full stack. And I'm like, bro, people don't even need to need all of these things, right? There's like a freaking 400 skills that you have to learn. It's like, bro, you don't have to learn even half of this things to get hired. But I didn't know that. I wasted my whole time, learning all of those things. Applied to a couple of companies, failed the interviews, right? And because I wasn't ready, I was more nervous. And this happens to a lot of people. Sometimes you fail the interviews not because you're not ready. It's more about it's your first time going in, right? So imagine it's like myself. I was coming from like being the previous job was a parking lot attendant, and then the closest thing to like a development job was me being like IT support at a company. So in reality, I'm going in there, I'm like, yo, I'm about to throw up in the elevator. I'm freaking having anxiety. My heart is, the guy's telling me, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, inside, I'm like, I'm dying. Like right now, I'm scared. Right? You start seeing the offices, it's all glass everywhere. I'm like, I just came from the warehouse. Like, now you're in this big building. Some lady coming in is like giving you a badge, and you're like, hold on, I got a badge. I work here now. So you start getting nervous. So when I went to this companies, I just failed the interviews just off that. I wasn't ready for it. Right? Mm-hmm. I didn't have that experience. But then I decided to go in and say, you know what? I'm not gonna waste time. And I'm just gonna get a job. And I started working. My first job is not as glorious and fun and pretty as some people pop up here and say. I had a regular job, product editor, doing HTML, CSS on simple websites, and also on listing on eBay. And I started at $13 an hour. It's a bullshit pay, right? But at the end of the day, it's not where you start, it's where you finish at, right? It's where you end up at. What that did for me was it got me into the industry. Once you're into the industry, it's like being part of like, how you call it, it's like, damn, what's the word for that? Like a union. Those guys that do construction and bridges and the big skyscrapers. Like, once you're in the union, you're good. You can pass that shit down to your kids. You'll be like, yo, that's my son, put him in. Like, once you're a developer and you're in the game and you got your first job, that's it. Nobody could take that away from you. That's experience. And that's what most companies really care about. So that's my story. Okay. We got codingphase.com. We created a YouTube channel to show people like, that they could do it too. I actually brought in like the human side of development. Most of the guys that were here before me on YouTube were just like Clear Eyes. You know what I mean? Like the guy from Clear Eyes with just the glasses on and just like, well, guys, today's topic is how to write a function. To me, I couldn't relate to that. So I said, you know what? If I come to YouTube, I want to be myself. I want to have fun with this and show people that anybody can do this. You don't have to be that guy on a conference. You don't have to be that guy that's showing up, doing a professional presentation. Like, you could be a regular guy, come into the game, do your work, and that's it. You could get in, know, and this is what people really need to see, just to have somebody that they could relate to. So here I am, Coding Phase.
Yeah, I mean, you make up a good point. It's like we're not saving lives as software developers, so we don't need to go to get that doctor degree. It's like you need that certificate or that degree to say like, hey, I am a doctor. Like with software development, you could go on like any type of free tutorial or whatever you want to, and then potentially just get a job. So it's pretty crazy how times have changed. And like even back then, I'm pretty sure it was like so hard to even like be like, oh my gosh, I can be a software engineer. Like, did you have any like inspiration or like someone that you looked up to and was like, damn, I want to be that guy, or I want to like be as good as that person? Because right now I feel like there's so much like Twitter and YouTube and all these like coding coaches and all of that stuff that's trying to give you advice. But back then, I'm pretty sure like there wasn't that many. So like, who did you like talk to like really break into that space?
Well, for me, my biggest inspiration at the time was really this guy that I always used to see at Starbucks, right? I didn't know him from a hole in the wall, but every single day I would see this guy with a plaid shirt, freaking little glasses on, he had the little comb hipster hairstyle. I'm like, don't this dude work? Like every day I would come in to school at LaGuardia Community College, 9 o'clock, I'll see him there. And then I'll come back in at 11 o'clock on in between classes, and I see him there. And then one day I say, I want to know what this guy does, because I'm actually going to school and I'm seeing this guy every single day on his computer on Starbucks, and he doesn't seem to go to work. So I want to find out what he does. So I don't want to work either, right? If that's what, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go to work either, but I want to find out what he does. So one day I stopped and I went in, I started making conversation. I was like, yo, bro, what do you do, man? I see you here all the time. And the guy tells me, he's like, well, I'm a software engineer, right? And that sounds so like out of this world. I'm like, damn, he must have like a MIT degree or this and that. And I asked him, damn, bro, what university you went to? And I was like, I got my GED. And I'm like, holy shoot. I'm thinking in my head, like, what? Right? So it's like this hipster guy works from his computer and only has a GED. I'm here with going to school, going to college, and doing all this stuff. And this guy's like, yo, I just got my GED, bro. And I'm like, oh, shoot. What do you do, man? And he's like, oh, software engineer. Make about like 120, 140,000 a year. And then I'm like,
humble brag.
Humble brag. He's like, yo, are you going to school?
Yo, how much you make? It's like, shoot, I don't want to tell you.
Yo, he's like, yo, are you going to school, kiddo? You know what I mean?
Oh no.
You know what I mean?
It's like, oh yeah, I make around that too.
I'm there. I'm like, yo, at that time, I was still doing like a parking lot attendant,
right,
in the mall, Queen Center Mall, right? So I was over there, and I was like, damn, this is crazy. So when I went home, I started Googling. I'm Googling all over the place. I started going crazy. I remember one day, I went into the library, school library, and in school, when you go into this BS community college, just like they don't even have like proper books. Like they'll come in and be like, yo, they'll still have like the 1996 HTML for Dummies book in the yellow book. And you're like, yo, hold on. Like nobody updates this whole rack because nobody's looking for the programming side of like the books in the library. And I'm there going through it. And they're talking about DHTML and this and that. I'm like, damn, I haven't heard this in years. And so I got into it. I said, okay, I'm gonna go online. I started looking, through websites and Googling, and that's it. I started my journey from there. But I think that was my biggest inspiration. I wish I could find that guy, just to be like, yo, thank you for that. Because sometimes, it's like when you're coming from a certain position, even if like what I go to, I'll give you an example. Like when I'm in Miami or something, right? And one of the guys that's the parking lot attendants there at the valet, they come in and they're like, damn, bro, how you got this whip? How you got this and that? I sit down and I take my time to explain to people what I do and give them access to my website and be like, yo, go to codingphase.com. Here's a 1-month subscription for free. Come try it out. Come learn how to code. This thing changed my life, right? Because even though you're in a quote unquote higher position now, you got to take that time to explain to somebody how they could get better and improve their lifestyle, right? And because that guy did it for me. He don't have to talk to me. He could have been like, sorry, creep. Like, why? I'm trying to drink my drink on, trying to drink my little Bente latte. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
he don't have to talk to me, but he sat down with me. He explained to me, he's like, yo, I learned this, I learned that, applied to this company, and we stood there for probably like half an hour talking about development. And how he got into the industry, and that from there just it told me that if he did it, I could do it too.
Yeah, man, it just feels like you were just kind of in just like this weird darkness and just not sure what you want to do with your life, and then this guy just like opened the door and like shining light just beams down. You're like, holy moly, like what? Like look at this potential of what I can do right here.
This guy, I met Neo from the Matrix.
Kung Fu or something.
Neo was like, oh, what you want, the red pill, the green pill, whatever. Like,
honestly, like it's great that he gave you all this input, but at the end of the day, you gotta still hustle, and that's the difference between someone just getting information and doing something with it. And I think a lot of people, like even in my channel and especially in your channel, like they come for that inspiration, but they need to also. You always remind them, you got to put in the work. You got to put in the work. Go on the codingphase.com and actually take the courses. Like, of course, you'll drop a lot of gems, drop a lot of info, drop a lot of advice, but if you're not actually head deep into the code, you can't expect to just magically be a software developer. Like it doesn't work like Matrix where you just plug it in and learn how to code. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, definitely. That's one of the things that I'm glad that for me, like I'm the type of person that I understand anything is possible, right? As long as it's not something like physical. Like if you be like, yo, I want to play ball, right? I want to be a basketball player. All right, bro, you ain't gonna dunk at 5'2", okay? Unless you're born with, some amazing skills on, some hops on your legs. That's not gonna happen, unless you have a certain height. But everything that has to do with determination, or learning a new skill, or anything that has to do with your mind, it's possible. Like, people think people are born like this, and it's not. It's more about dedication and how much time they put in. There's guys that go to the Olympics that are less talented than guys that are in the streets right now. There's guys that are almost giving a gift, but because they don't apply themselves to work hard and go to the gym and work out and go find a new trainer, a new coach, etc. If they don't go into that path and put in the work, they're not making it to the Olympics, right? And there's guys that they win number one, they get the gold medal because they applied themselves. It wasn't that they were born with it. It's just they went hard.
And the thing is, at least in software development, maybe you could agree or disagree. I don't think we're going for the Olympics, right? We're not trying to be the one out of those many, many contestants. We just need one job that's going to say yes. And that's it. Like, we don't have to be the elite of the elite software developers. We could just be a normal software developer. I actually made a video a long time ago about how coding is like basketball. And instead of comparing it to someone like Michael Jordan, who's obviously just like the greatest of all time, like I just used like some sorry player like Lamar. Wait, who did I use? Lamar Ball? Wait. Yeah,
Odom,
one of the Ball brothers, and I was just like, dude, this guy's just like a normal player, but he makes millions. He's a role player, and he does well. Like, you don't have to be like that top of the top FANG developer or whatever. You could just start at at a startup, and it's perfectly fine. You're gonna make good money, and you're gonna change your life. So, like, I don't see why you need to feel like you have to know everything and all of that stuff. So I think that's another thing I would like to kind of emphasize on. But,
no, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of different roles, right? There's guys that's good for 3 points. There's guys that, like you said, there's gonna be a Michael Jordan, the Michael Jordan of code, right? That's that guy, right? That's that guy you see in every freaking mention on Twitter, or you might see him on every freaking presentation. Every people are getting autographs. Like, yo, can I get your autograph, Dan Abramov? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's guys that, okay, they could be the Michael Jordan, but you don't have to be, right? You could easily be another player in the league. Okay, and that's it, and make your money and do your own thing. And at the same time, it's different goals. Like, if there's a guy that goes into the industry and looks at it as a way for them to build capital, right? Because that's like, for me, when I came into the game, I enjoy coding, but I looked at it as a way for me to build capital. Like, I don't know nobody. I don't have like a rich uncle. I don't have my mom has a friend that owns a business that could say, hey, Joe, he's $100,000 for your great idea. Okay. Like, I don't have nobody that I could reach out for that. Okay. Yeah. So for me I have to work. So if I have to work somewhere and I want to get to where I want to get to, I can use this career to get to where I want to get to, as far as building up that capital and continue to grow. Now, of course, I'm not saying if you don't like coding, just come in and use this thing, because you're not going to be a good developer. If you don't like coding, you're not going to be good, because to be able to do this thing, you're going to have to put in a lot of hours of dedication. And if you don't like it, it doesn't matter how much money they put in front of you, you're not going to be able to do it. Okay. But at least come into the game with a plan and say, you know what? I'm here. This is a great career. You think, like, people think that there's guys that be like, well, I want to be a lawyer because I love helping people out, or I want to go in and I want to save that guy that's gonna get about to get killed by the state, and or a doctor is like, well, I just love to deal with blood, and when people come in with their face destroyed in a car accident, I just want to fix everybody's face. Nah, there's dudes that's just showing up like, okay, cool, I do another lipo, I do another BBL, you know what I mean, and they get their money. That's the guys that you see in the Lamborghinis, the Ferraris, and Dr. Miami or something like that.
Dr. Miami. What are you watching, bro?
This random show that the guy
I don't know no Dr. Miami from the New York.
Dr. Miami gets all the girls done. But basically, like, you could be that guy. Sometimes people come into this game thinking this thing is a religion. And it's like, I stay away from people like that. If you think this thing is a religion, you can stay over there in that corner. Stay with your guys and your cult. I'm not in the cult. I'm just doing my job. That's it, you know. But I do enjoy coding, but I came in here with a plan. I didn't come here with my eyes closed.
Yeah, and this kind of, I want to segue into like the Shopify stuff, but I got like a little hot take for you, and I'll just share you my opinion first, and then ask you for yours. But I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of the YouTubers that are in the coding industry, they've kind of, I just saw like a coder, and she was saying, I'm going to be one of those people that quit my job and kind of work on my own thing and whatever. And then I saw a comment that says like, oh wow, like every YouTuber is just quitting their jobs, and like, does software development suck? And so when I read that, I was like, come on, man. Like coding, yes, I enjoy coding, but coding is about an opportunity to do what you want to do, right? Like, yes, you may have, I bet you that person still loves coding. It just loving coding in a different way through content creation and whatnot. And maybe if they could kind of have their own business, I feel like a lot of people, when they think of being a software developer, they always have to work for someone else, or thinking that, you know, that's how you validate yourself and get that stamp saying that I'm a software developer. But I think watching other YouTubers that are in this like coding industry, being able to just kind of branch off and do their own thing, it's really inspiring. But I think a lot of audiences, they think like the only way you could really make it is if you work at a company, and I think there's some merit to it, at least in the beginning. But once you're skilled enough, aren't you curious what you're capable of doing? Like, I'm still kind of in that like middle fence here and there of like where I will build like side apps, but for someone to just be able to make that leap and have that, not luxury, but put in the effort at least up front to make that kind of decision is pretty impressive.
No, I think in that topic, I think I talked about it the other day a little bit, because the problem is that most people that come here to YouTube, they see like one view of things, right? You see a person that comes in and does videos, and then a few months later, a year later, hey, I quit my job and now I'm doing YouTube, right? And full time, right? And it seems like such an easy road for some people to be like, oh, it's such an easy thing to do. It's like, oh yeah, you love to code and you want to talk about coding and make money off people watching you or selling courses or doing this and that, right? But you don't want to work as a developer. And I totally understand how people feel when they see situations like that. But I think people have to also understand that somebody like Coder, for my understanding, she has like 5 or 8 years in the game. Okay?
Exactly.
So it's like there has to be growth. You can't expect somebody to continue doing the same thing. And even at that, like most human beings, like the most successful ones, they reinvent themselves every 5 years. Like the guys that are just doing the same thing constantly, you'd be like, well, I've been working at this company for 20 years here at IBM. I remember in 1987 when, like, nah, that guy, he stood in the bubble. He stood there forever, and that's great. He loves it. But the truth is that most people want to grow and want to challenge themselves, right? They don't want to continue doing the exact same thing over and over again. So if they want to quit their job and become YouTubers, that's great. For me, where I agree with people is when somebody just randomly, you don't even have 6 months as a developer, and then you have a channel that's about talking about development. It's like, oh, I just got hired, but hey guys, I'm quitting because now I'm gonna be a full-time YouTuber. Like, you don't even have experience to be talking about development. You don't even have experience to be giving advice. But then yet you're telling people like, hey, I'm quitting my job that I only did for 6 months or like less than a year, and then now I'm gonna become a full-time YouTuber. At that point, I understand when people don't respect them and be like, well, bro, we know what you're doing. You don't really, there's some of the guys that's here, and let's just be honest, a lot of people don't even like coding, right? And they see this as an opportunity to make income. And why would they go to work on a 9 to 5 and, you know, and get stressed and build things that maybe they don't want to build when they could just come to YouTube, do a couple of videos, put some affiliate links, get some sponsored videos? I can understand it, you know what I mean? But it's a two-way street. You also have to know, if you're gonna criticize somebody, you gotta know their background. Be like, yo, this person's been here for 5, 8 years. They have a right to go and grow. You know, I've seen that done even for one of my friends that he told me a situation when he used to work at Google. He has a startup now, and some of his and his colleagues were like, "Oh, so you're gonna start a startup now?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna start a startup now. Like, I'm gonna do my own thing. What, I'm supposed to stay here and just stay working at Google?"
I mean, like, if you're working there for 4 or 5 years, you're like making a good amount of money. I'm sure you saved them a good amount of money. Why not try something like a little riskier if you can do it? And you know what you're doing. So, but I think that kind of segues into like my Shopify thing, because I think a lot of people want to kind of start their own independent thing. But why do I feel like software developers don't like Shopify? Come on, Joe, tell it to me straight, man. Like,
well, the thing is that a lot of people are ignorant, right? So they have this thing where they think of Shopify like Wix. So Wix is like a drag and drop page builder, and people think that that's what you're doing without even looking at the website, without even looking at the documentation. Like if you're building themes, you're actually working as a front end developer. If you're building applications, you're actually working as a full stack developer. So you're using the same skills that you will be doing in another company, but now you're just connecting to API directly, either for the front end, or if it's to manage like the products and the items and the payment gateways, you're having Shopify handle that. But you're still building a full stack application. So a lot of times it comes from ignorance and people not knowing what Shopify is actually capable of. And even at that, like, I wish I would have started my Shopify journey earlier. Because I remember a long time ago, somebody told me about Shopify. I think it was like 2014, 2015. And we was both working at a digital agency. And at the time I was doing like WordPress for this agency. And this guy was like, "Yo, I'm leaving WordPress. I'm going to start doing Shopify." And this guy right now is like a millionaire. And I'm still like, I'm still out here like, wait, hold on. You should have told me this. You should have been a little bit more aggressive about this road.
This guy must have like been in crypto too while he was at it too. It's like the savant.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, and also too, people don't understand that this gives you so much like abilities in the sense of like and opportunities for yourself, right? Like you could create your own digital agency, sell themes independently, digital products. You could go and work for companies. If you say, I'm a new developer, I still want to be able to have that consistency of getting paid every Friday, shoot, you could work for a company. Now, if you are somebody who are a little bit more established or have a little bit more freedom or a little bit more savings, you can say, I'm going to start my own agency. I'm going to invest in myself, spend a few months building my own products or, freelancing, getting my own clients. And people are willing to pay a lot of money right now. Even I see guys that they don't even know web development, and you see on YouTube, they'll be like, "Hey guys, I'll start your Shopify store." And then when you call in to find out how they're going to start your Shopify, it's just building a Shopify store and showing you a couple of products, how to do it yourself. And then they charge you $5,000 for that. Okay. Now imagine what a developer could really do and say, "Hey man, that same type of clientele and customers that's out there, you could go in and say, we're going to give you a full customized website. We're going to build it according to your business." Like the money is there. But if you put yourself in this little bubble of like, I need to work for somebody and I need to get my, my Google stamp, my Amazon stamp. Sorry, kiddo. Like
canceled.
your Airbnb stamp, your you know what I mean? Like if people want to have a whole bunch of badges looking like a guy, what's the guy's name? Borat, when he was like the general, and just like, hold on, I worked at all these companies. It's like, yeah, bro. Like, and that's cool. I'm not saying like not to work for companies, but I'm saying if somebody wants to go on a different road, they can go. And sometimes you have to open up your mind and understand this is where the industry is going right now.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I want to just give you like pushback just a little bit, and just because I want to hear your opinion on this. Like, if I'm a new developer, like, how do I know that Shopify should be like my first approach? You know what I mean? Because it feels like doing the Shopify development, there is a little bit more of the entrepreneurial aspect to it versus like, do companies just hire Shopify developers and whatnot? Like, if I was starting new and I was going on codingphase.com/tech rally and we did like the whole Shopify thing, like is the expectation to start my own thing, or like do people hire Shopify developers? Like what's the route then, if you want to go that way? Because I think a lot of people thinking like, if I want to gain that experience and work for a company, that's the fastest way I'll grow as a developer. But is there something equivalent in the Shopify side?
So I'll give you an example, like Staples.com, staplesca.ca, right? So Staples, everybody know what Staples is. It's a company that they sell, products on, for office and things like that, right? Now, let's talk about a company like that. If you are a developer and you say, I'm going to apply to Staples, or I'm going to apply to Gymshark, or I'm going to apply to what's the company, Heinz, that does the ketchup, right? When you apply to those companies, little do you know, they have some type of e-commerce framework. It could easily be WooCommerce. It could easily be Magento. It could easily be done with Drupal. It could be built with custom made with Laravel. It could be built with any platform, right? Now, little do you know that most of those companies are switching over to Shopify, right? Because why would they go in and have all of this custom code when they, and let's say they have 20 developers on their team or 40 developers, when they could have a company like Shopify that have hundreds of developers or maybe even thousands of developers working on making sure that everything works perfectly for them. So companies are looking at that and saying, okay, we're going to switch over. So you're studying to become a front-end developer, but then you're applying to these companies, and then now you're going to have to learn Shopify. Or you're a full stack developer that was doing Magento, or you was doing WooCommerce, and you want to get a higher pay. You was making 60, 70,000. Now you're going to a bigger company, and that bigger company is using Shopify, right? So at the end of the day, you're using the same skills that you would have used with anything else. The only difference is you're adding an extra week to 2 weeks of learning.
Yeah.
Right? So let's say, for example, right now, somebody's brand new, doesn't know how to code. They still got to go through 2 months of learning HTML, CSS, and probably some type of backend language and a database. That's 2 months right there, let's just say, right? It doesn't cost you anything to learn an extra week on Shopify or extra 2 weeks to open up the doors for those possibilities, those extra jobs. Because if a guy comes in and says, I know front end, that's cool. Everybody that shows up to the interview knows that. But if a guy comes in and says, I know React, that opened doors for you to now positions that they use React. Now, when you go to one of these companies that are e-commerce, most of the companies that are hiring people think it's tech companies, and it's not. It's not really tech companies that's giving you your first chance. You're not popping up and be like, hey, Google, open up the door for me. Google's looking at you like, all right, kiddo, what's your who's you? Security, get them up out of here, right?
But I know HTML.
I know HTML. Mr. Google, I know HTML. Get them up out of here, right? They're not giving you your first chance, right? Yeah. So most of the companies that's going to hire you, it has to be, let's say 80%, because we're not going to discredit tech companies, but 80% of them is going to be digital marketing agencies and also to e-commerce business, right? Not every company that's out there is making money by creating a social network or creating a search engine or creating a mobile app for guys to go in and bang chicks on by sliding the screen, right? Most of the companies are selling products. That's where the money is at. And they want to have in-house developers. So that's where you're going to get that first job. And that's what people have to understand. It doesn't have to be like, oh, why should I learn Shopify? It's a whole different thing. No, it's literally web development, right? And then now you're adding an extra week of going in through the documentation and knowing how to connect to the APIs of a Shopify. That's it.
Yeah. If anything, it feels like pure monetary wise, learning Shopify development as a side hustle can, like, if you got that job already and now you're learning, or you've kind of learned Shopify already, and while you're working at that agency doing Shopify development, say you learn React on the side or whatever, but eventually you decide to kind of start your own thing. It looks like Shopify would be the easiest way to get kind of that company up and running, because personally for me, as much as, you know, like I love front end development, I like Next.js, all that stuff is kind of like a hassle sometimes to get set up all that infrastructure. But which it sounds like Shopify, there is still a bit of work to do, but there's a lot of pretty tried and tested patterns that make it like, okay, I got this template already. Like I just need to switch the images up, like do that responsive layout, you know, and like it's just not, I don't want to say it feels like a WordPress thing, but it seems more like there's a pattern, there's more of a plug and play and whatnot, right?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, is to me, the way how I look at it is when you work in the field of e-commerce, right? You basically learn so much, right? That it's skills that you can literally take on your own, right? If you come in and you say, I'm in a bubble and all I know is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React, and I'm just staying that little bubble, you never look at the marketing team, you never look at the design team, you never look at the product managers, you never look at what they're doing, right? And you just on this little bubble. When you decide that I would like to start something on my own, 100% of the time, those guys don't know what to do. And I've seen it from guys that are like the top guys of like even React. And I've seen them online asking, guys, how do you make money independently, like online? And I'm saying like guys that created React basically and make React popular, they're asking questions online when they're like, yo, how do you make money online? And it's like, because they haven't been exposed to so many different ways that they can monetize their own skills, because it's always been like, well, the upper management gave me this feature, let me build it. This person gave me this feature, let me build it. This product manager told me to do this, and they build it. When you're in the world of e-commerce, it moves so fast, and you see the whole industry for what it is. And even while you're working there, you be like, damn, I could, like, I'll tell you an example. I used to work at a company, and that was all e-commerce, right? And they will have like a subscription. There's this thing called, I believe it's like Sumo. I think it's Sumo. I'll tell you right now. Sumo, they call it Sumo, the #1 free email capture. What exactly is this? This is literally a service where you create a modal, right? And then from there, you capture the email of the person that landed on the page, right? This company that I was in, they were paying about $40-$50 a month just for that service, right? And they have like a million different little plugins that they sign up for, having like little things like that. How to connect the email to this thing, connect to this and that, or track the user for this, track the user for that. If I didn't work in e-commerce, I wouldn't even know about that. But while I'm working there, I'm realizing, shoot, I could create these tools too. I could create this little thing. This is just a modal, right? And create the JavaScript, right? And then they could set up the script file and connect to it, do a GET request, send them the data. We're saving the post request. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you're not in that world, a lot of times you don't even know what's possible in ways that you can monetize. And you're dealing with businesses. E-commerce is the good thing about e-commerce, and like Shopify, why I love it, you're dealing with businesses. You're not dealing with the average dude. It's not like you're creating the next Facebook. If you create another Facebook, now you got to convince somebody to leave Facebook. And now you got to go in and tell them, hey, well, you got this feature and this feature and this feature. Most of the time, businesses go in and business owners go in and say, how do I do this? And Google pops up a couple applications, and you, as the developer that created that, now you can make some income from that. It could be $20 a month, $50 a month. I've seen guys on the indie hackers community come up with the dumbest things that I could think of. And like, how is this person even making money? And somebody's paying for it. Now, if he wasn't in the world of e-commerce and he had no knowledge of how e-commerce worked, he wouldn't get those ideas, right? And that's the beauty of like Shopify and e-commerce in general, that once you decide, hey, I want to leave out of this industry and build my own thing, you could almost guarantee to succeed, because you already know what you need to provide your customers with. Okay. And like I said, before we even move on from this thing, the biggest problem for people to be able to find their own freedom is having ideas. But if you're in a little bubble and don't go outside of that bubble, you're not being creative. You're not gonna be able to figure out how to make income for yourself, even if you're the smartest guy in the whole industry. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. Like, I would say my exposure to Shopify is very minimum, and the only reason why I know about it is because I watch your channel. But to like LeVar Barry's point, like, yeah, they have no business skills, and I would even put myself in that category where I'm just I'm a little like chick right now, just trying to understand like this business side of learning how to code with like Shopify. And I would have to say that the reason why a lot of developers don't do it, in my opinion, is because out of laziness, right? You kind of stick with what you already know. Like, yeah, I know my Next.js, I know my React. I want to build it from scratch. Kind of this mindset of just start. Like, I don't need no Shopify to build my e-commerce app. Like, I like why. It's this notion of like, I'm more comfortable using certain technologies, so I don't really want to deviate if I don't have to. But to be honest, I think this, like, learning Shopify and all of that stuff, at least for this year, is definitely something that's on my radar. But laziness always kicks in. I think because, dude, man, there's so many things to learn, and then it's, to your point, it's just you got to make that time and effort to just learn it. And it's one of those things I gotta do.
But this is one of those things, is like, as developers, we waste so much time learning bullshit frameworks. Dino version 2. Dino JS just dropped, and we gotta stop whatever we're doing because Dino JS just dropped. So instead of developers worrying about what's trending on GitHub, worry about what's trending in businesses. Okay. Worry about what's trending out there for you guys to make money and create new ideas and solve problems for businesses. That's what I do. Like, I no longer focus on, what's trending, what this YouTuber created a new tutorial on this new framework, or hey, here's a crash course about this, or hey, here's a top 10 frameworks that just dropped this year that you should look at. I don't care about that. What I care about is, how can I use the skills that I have, and then from there make income with that. And if you take that approach, you're gonna find your freedom, right? And at the same time, it's like, you're gonna see what's out there that you can actually use. Because sometimes I feel like as a developer, we are relearning the same things that we learned. And before, I used to love it. I used to be like, man, I love, coming in every 6 months, I learn a new framework. I feel like a beginner again. Like, like it's like becoming a virgin again. You're like, oh man, I'm a virgin again. I'm back at it again. I don't want to do that no more, because there's no money in that, right? It's like time. The way I look at it is, time is money, and time is something so valuable that is more than money. It's things that nobody can give you back, right? There is no exchange. But like, well, can I get a refund for my time? There's no refunds. Whatever you invested time on, that's it. You invested time on that. Me personally, now at the age that I'm at, I'm 33 years old, right? I'm at a point where I'm like, yo, I got kids. If I'm gonna spend my time, I want it to be profitable so I can provide for them. I don't want to go in and be like, well, I'm just trying to become an intellectual of knowing all of these things. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I completely agree. Like, I was learning Svelte.js for a hot minute, and then I had to step back and be like, yo, why are you learning this? Like, it's literally the same stuff that I already. Like, it's like, okay, every time I was working on it, I was like, okay, how would I do this in? How I'm trying to, like, I do like this in React, so like, how do I do this in Svelte, right? And then I realized I was just building the same thing, but at least with like Shopify and learning Liquid, like there could be a better outcome. And you know what I mean? Like, with Svelte, I'll just more or less be building the same applications. Like, okay, what's Svelte router? Like React router. What's Svelte? Like, what's the Redux of Svelte? Like, like literally, it's just like building the same thing with a different set of knives or a different set of spoons.
Yeah. No, that's the same thing that I felt when, like, the first time I was trying out Vue.js a long time ago. I was like, wait, hold on. And before that, before they even like became like a mix of Angular and React, it was just like Angular. It was like a clone of Angular. And I'm like, why am I learning this thing? This vbind, this is the same thing as ng if and ng cloak. And I'm like, why am I even wasting my time on this thing? And then from there, they did the same thing with React. They're like, whoa, now we got components and JSX. I'm like, why would I be learning this thing? I already know it from React. So it's like, I stopped myself at that moment when Vue.js came out. I said, this is why I can't be wasting my time on these things. You get what I'm saying? Like it doesn't make no sense. I gotta focus on things that is gonna bring a return to me. A lot of these things is I'm thinking in my head, what would the owner of a company think? Right? I'm not thinking like a developer.
What framework are you using? Are you gonna be using to build my application?
Yeah, like nah, I don't have time for that no more. That was Joe in 2013, 2014, even in 2016. I was still like, even 2017. I was like, there was like this app called Hyper App, and everybody's like, yo, Hyper App is very similar to React. Why would we use this? And I'm like, Hyper App is the next thing, and this and that. I'm like, yo, Hyper App never really became nothing. It was a waste of time. And that's when I was like, that was the last one. I say, I clocked out. I said, here you go. I'm not going with none of this trendy things, unless there's like I see it like this is viable and it makes sense. Like Next.js makes sense. It's perfect, right? It's perfect. There's a reason for it. It solves a lot of problems, right? It's a great structure to build your applications. That's why I spend my time on that. But beyond that, I'm not even wasting no time. Like
JM is hilarious. He goes, but Joe, you have a course in Hyper App.
I know exactly.
You invested early and it didn't. It's one of those things. I
invested on it.
Crystal Lang too, man.
Crystal Lang is one of those things that all it takes is just somebody like a bigger company to come in and start using it. But as far as a language, it solves a lot of problems and it's super fast. It's one of the best languages that I've ever seen. Like I could tell you straight up, like I've been here for a long time, and this language is that good. It's way easier than Golang. Is way faster than all of the languages that's out here except C. So at the end of the day, all it really takes is somebody with clout to come in. Like right now, let's say for example, shout out to my boy Traversing Media, but let's say Traversing Media comes in and be like, hey guys, here's a crash course on Crystal Lang. Here's a freaking project. He has 1 million users that watch him. By him doing that, he gave it clout, and then from there it blows up. Same clout that he gave, and a lot of people gave to Dino.js, and you see how Dino.js made waves. All it needs is somebody with clout like that. That's it, but that's just all it really takes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Before we transition to React, hey, everyone that's here, 77 people, if you have any questions, let's take a little bit of a break to answer any of y'all's questions, and then we're going to move into the React versus Vue versus Angular versus what else is there? What's out there? I still, you know what? I'm a big fan of Backbone. Like I love Backbone when I first discovered it because before that it was all about using either vanilla or jQuery, but man, boy, did it die so fast. And it's like one of those things these days, man. Like to your point, like we have to make sure the technology we use. I mean, there's no guarantee that React is gonna stay forever or whatever, but at the end of the day, man, you got to make that kind of business decision of what framework you want to use, what you want to be good at, because a lot of these companies these days, I I even made a video about it comparing the 3 frameworks, and it was like just React was just night and day, way more hits on Glassdoor, way more hits on everything. Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think React is going to be here for a long time. I think so too. I really don't think that people are going to switch up, and we haven't had like a really big update in React, but I wouldn't be surprised that's coming. Okay. They probably, all those things that people are hype about, about Svelte and all of this other new frameworks. Think about it like this. React is the #1 framework. You think that those guys are not looking around like, okay, cool, this is what you guys want. Let's add a couple of those things in there. Like it's really a standard. I think right now it should be like, if you want to become a developer, is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React. Like React has become a thing just like HTML and CSS. That's just how it is, guys. Okay.
Got a question for you. How does coding phase go about determining when libraries and frameworks are worth learning to build a business?
Good question. Here you go.
Let's go, man.
Through a curveball, it's like, hold on, I got him.
Got him, coach.
Okay, let's break this one down. How does coding phase go about determining when libraries and frameworks are worth learning to build a business? Okay, now to build a business for me, right? How I look at it is one, by how many searches is getting, right? How many searches? Also, two, the jobs, how many jobs is out there. So I do my research on that. Like, I don't go in and be like, well, some new technologies popped up. I don't make decisions on that. If somebody's talking about it, I don't care about that. What I care about is the jobs, because that tells me how many companies are actually using it. Because something could have 1 million GitHub stars and no one uses it. Only the guys online, right? People use GitHub as bookmarks, right? Like, I've done that shit all the time. Like, this sounds like I haven't even tried something. I'm like, oh, this seems like a cool project. Let me give it a star so I could come back to it. And I never come back to it. So it's just like that. So for me, I look at searches, downloads. If I could look at their NPM for like NPM downloads, how many times it is being used, how many jobs is out there, right? So I look at those things and go in that route, right? That's how I choose most of the things that I focus on, and also to opportunities, because sometimes there are certain technologies that might be popular, but it's like machine learning. Like, you ain't showing up to well, I want to learn machine learning, and you're gonna pop up at Tesla. It's like, I took a Udemy course, right? And it's like Tesla's looking at you like, yo, hold on, bro. Like, you got to come in here with a little bit more than that, right? Yeah. So yeah, machine learning is trending, and data science is trending, but you're gonna need a certain background to be able to get those jobs and those opportunities. So for me, the way how I look at it, I was like, yo, I have to choose things that go with my background. What can I get into, right? If it's in web development and it's in that whole realm of web, and I can make income with that, then I'm gonna go that route. Okay. Yeah. I don't go in for things that have the most money. I don't go for things that be like, well, this thing is paying this much, or this career is paying this much. I focus on things that I could say, you know what, I know for sure I can get. Because if it seems like a dream, is a dream. Okay. Yeah. If it feels like it's a goal that you could reach, then yeah, I could go for something like that. But that's a good question.
Yeah, I think if I can add to that, I know you talked about this last time. Not last time, but a while back. You're talking about Gatsby versus Next, right? Mm-hmm. Like, when you were using Gatsby, your SEO just became real garbage, real fast, right? And so things like that, I think, are something to consider when building a business, because obviously the SEO is what's gonna drive traffic. And I would probably take a look into that, and maybe even just like what kind of packages or themes are coming with these like frameworks, right? Because I know Next.js has a lot of this one click, and then all of a sudden they build you this like site already. So maybe there's like a level of convenience as well. Also, shout out to Don the developer. If you are interested in coding boot camps or hearing about like coding bootcamp experiences, he has a YouTube channel as well, and he interviews like graduates and whatnot. So if you are interested in coding boot camps, definitely check out his channel. Also, why am I wearing an LA hat in New York? Because I'm originally from LA, man. Gotta represent.
This dude, he should be ashamed of himself.
We just got Albert Pujols, man. No one knows how old he is, but
this dude's from California, right? Been in New York for years now, and this dude still got a California number. It's like, change that number to a 917-347 718. Like, come on, bro. 212. Something from New York.
I gotta stay loyal to the West Coast, Best Coast, man. It is what it is. All right, one more question for y'all. What's the best way to go about getting a remote salary dev job with no prior work experience in the middle of building a full stack project for resumes right now? You want to take this one, or you want me to take it?
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, man, I think nothing really changes beyond, like, compared to in-person versus remote. I mean, right now, I would say all the companies that are hiring are still relatively majority remote anyway. So go do the same thing that you would do for an in-person one. Just really, really focus on building your projects, optimize your LinkedIn portfolio, really connect with a lot of recruiters, and your portfolio is going to have to speak for itself. So if you need to get that reviewed, go email codingface@gmail.com, because he does do these videos here and there to like kind of give you the honest opinion. Because I seen your live streams, and some of them you're like, hey, all right, audience, like, what's the rating 1 to 10? And like, you're going to get that honest feedback. So, which is good in my opinion, because if you don't get honest feedback and you're wondering like, hey, like I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again. I'm not finding a job. It's like, bro, you're the crazy one. You need to change something. So nothing's changed, at least right now.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would say the same thing. Like, treat it like you was going into an in-person job. Like, don't think, oh, it's remote, it's gonna be completely different. I think before the pandemic, it used to be different, in the sense of like companies wanted somebody who had more experience, but now everybody's remote. Like, no company could be like, well, we can only hire experienced developers because then they're not gonna get that many people in. So they're gonna have to go in and start taking people who are beginners, guys who have a year in, 2 years in, maybe a month, 2 months, right, etc. And they have to treat it just like how when people was going into work in person nowadays. So just build your portfolio. I would say build a solid portfolio, make the portfolio stand out. Even if you're not a designer, pay either a designer or go and buy a template. It's $10 on themeforest.net. You could buy a very decent portfolio. Focus on your projects, but it's like going to a job interview. I always tell people this. It's like if you go in there with a wrinkled shirt and you go in there with like a shirt that has a stain of coffee, like you look messy, right? Sometimes people go in with portfolios that look like they were built in GeoCities in 2002. So if you're gonna show up to that, like that's an easy way for you to never even get a call back, right? So if you have a nice portfolio that catches people's attention, at least now you went through the second stage, which is now they're going in and choosing the best one that has the best projects. But if your portfolio looks like garbage, like people is just gonna go in and be like, okay, close. Okay, we'll send him an email. We'll come back to this one, right? You want to be at least one of the guys that get an email, or we'll come back to this guy later on. You don't want to get closed out just off the first landing on your page,
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the interview is also just as important. There are people, even before I got the Amazon offer, there were companies that rejected me that said, hey, we'd like to still keep you on file for a better position that might be available. So you just never know what, it's all about the totality, your portfolio, the interview, and everything. So I think there's another question about this. Like, could PHP and React be the only backend software one should learn if you're new to coding? So So React is a front-end library, and then PHP, there are frameworks around it that you could build applications with. So just to clarify on that a little bit, just wanted to make sure Mr. Leisure has a good understanding. But let's talk about React, man. When did you decide to join the React bandwagon? Because I think I've been following you for a while, and you weren't talking about it that much at that time.
Yeah.
What was that like? Boom, boom, boom. Like,
no, the thing is,
this is it.
Yeah. Well,
Mark Zuckerberg knocked on your door and was like, "Coding Face, Joe, I need you to talk about React right now."
I've been using React for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Like, I started using Angular 1, right? And from Angular 1, I went to React. And then from there, like, I've been using React ever since. But the thing is that on my channel, I had to go in, and basically a lot of people were like super beginners, right?
Mm-hmm.
Super beginners. And so I have to go in and teach them those things as we continue to go along, right? So I think about it like this. Like, my channel has seasons, right? So there's a season where we have, a lot of PHP. There's a season where we have a lot of React content. There's a season that we have a lot of Shopify. Like, we have different seasons throughout the year, right? When you came into like my channel, I'm pretty sure it's probably like 2019, around there, probably, right? Yeah. So in 2017, I was still talking about React. It's just I never like focused on a specific framework and be like, yo, guys, you got to stop everything that you need to do and just learn React. Because at the time in 2017, the number one framework was Angular. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, I never liked Angular. So I'm not going to be like, yo, guys, go learn Angular. It's just not a good framework, right? And at the time when I came into YouTube, React was such like early stages. A lot of companies were just getting into it, but that I've been using it for years, even before that. Yeah, like for sure. But it's just like now the industry is React. Like, if you're not talking about React right now and saying, hey, this is what you're supposed to be learning, then you're doing a disservice to your students. But for me, it's really the best framework that's out there. I freaking love this since the first day that I used it, because I used to use something called Polymer, right? So I used to be like I said, I used to be very heavy into like Google Angular, right? And then when somebody told me about the word of components, because the way I used to build not components, but applications with Angular, there was no components. It's like, okay, you have a router, you have this and that, right? But the real world of components came in with Polymer. So when I started getting deep into Polymer, at the time we was like, man, we was waiting for all the browsers to take in universal components, and like I was one of those guys that was going deep with that. But then once I got introduced to React, I was like, oh shoot, like this is great, like this makes sense. And it was just JavaScript. Like you didn't have to learn no vbind this, no ng that. Like I hate learning like attributes that you have to go and put into the HTML. I don't want to learn none of that. I just want to learn JavaScript and be good with JavaScript and be able to use the framework.
I completely agree. Like those directives and the binding, like they really messed me up when I was learning, and that's why I really like Backbone at that time, because it still had like that MVC type of like concept, which I was pretty familiar with in Rails. But now, as I got more and more familiar with JavaScript, it was just like, okay, yeah, this makes a lot more sense. It's way more functional in my opinion. So if someone asks like, do you think people are missing out when they're using Vue? I mean, I'll add my opinion on that first, but I don't think it's necessarily you're missing out, but I think you're also catering to the people that are on your channel, right? Like, yes, some people are really, really new, but if you're trying to get that first job, you want to pick a framework, or you want to pick a language that's going to put you in the best position to succeed. So some people are going to really believe in like the .NET, like Coder Foundry, and like they have their philosophy, and I respect that a lot. But at the same time, like my strong opinion is I really think that JavaScript is king. And with JavaScript, like if you want to be the most marketable, at least for your first position, then there's no point in learning all three frameworks. It's better to just focus on one and get really good at it. And in my opinion, I think React is that kind of special framework that, to your point, like Facebook backs it up, and I don't think it's gonna die anytime soon unless Facebook dies. And I think you said this too. Like if Facebook dies, then that's a bigger problem. That's a bigger problem than React.
Yeah, exactly. Like Facebook dies, like yo, something's wrong with the world. Like if it gets to that point, for real. So you don't have to worry about that for now. But for me, what I would say is, I don't think that people are missing out when they're using Vue, because in reality, Vue has all of the best things that React has and all of the best things that Angular has, right? So it's basically a baby. It's like Angular and React has sex and they gave birth to Vue. Okay, so that's what that's how I've always looked at it. Okay, it's like it's their baby, is their child that's outside, you know. So at the end of the day, they're not missing out on things. But I feel like when you use React, you become even a better JavaScript developer. Like, because you're using all of the things that even the modern JavaScript features, you know, like everything that's in JavaScript, people somehow they put it into React, or they use it with React, even in tutorials, even in courses. So you're really getting like the bleeding edge, you know. But I don't think that they're missing out. It's just, for me, I think that if they're going, like if I'm a brand new developer in 2021, I'm not choosing something that is like a minority in a corner. It's like, okay, this is like the smallest, you know, smallest little, you know, piece of the industry, right? Yeah. And this is like something that people are betting on. It's like everybody's like, we're betting on Vue.js. We're betting on Vue.js that one day is going to be as big as React and Angular. But we've been saying that, right, since 2017, since like 4 or 5 years now. People have been saying, this is the year for Vue. This is the year for Vue. But the truth is, companies don't go with whatever things are trending online. They go with what's good. And if something is good, they're going to go for that. And if something is not providing something better than what's already good, They're not switching over. Why would a company switch over to something that is already being done here? You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, that's how I feel about, people using Vue.
Yeah, and like if I had to compare the early frameworks, even like in 2015, 16, it was Backbone, Ember, and Angular.
Mm-hmm.
And why do you think Angular is still alive? It's because you got that backing of a company, Google. But like Ember and Backbone, they were very popular.
Mm-hmm.
And like Ember was really popular because of Rails. But at the end of the day, it's like one of those things where it's very community driven, and it's unfortunate, but the death of frameworks is because people get bored with the framework and stop wanting to like develop on it, or like paradigm changes, and all of a sudden we started getting into like one-way data flow with React. But like before, it was all about like models, views, controls on the front end, and then nothing. Like it just need to match exactly what the back end is looking like. But it seems that, I mean, I think Svelte is really nice too, but I don't know. It's just not getting that traction that it I don't want to say that it deserves, but like it's a really cool framework. But still, like if I had to give anyone that's trying to break into tech or any recommendations, like I would say, yeah, hands down React. And obviously check where you live and see what people are hiring first. But like at a more like general scope, I would definitely would go with React. Yeah.
Yeah, and also too, it's like think about it like this: if you want to get a job, you want to go for where there's 1,000 jobs. You don't want to go to where there's 100 jobs or 50 jobs, because that's gonna be way more competitive to get those little 50 jobs. But if you go into a place where there's 1,000 companies hiring right now you say, you know what, I got options and I can apply to all of these places. One of them is gonna hire me. But when you're going to just 50 jobs and 50 companies that are using it, then it's a different story. Like now it's more competitive, less opportunity for the beginners to get in, right? And I think that's where React wins, is just the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, and so LeVar, you saying like all these big companies use Vue, and I honestly I respect that these big companies are using it. And at the end of the day, if you're an experienced developer, it doesn't really matter what framework know well, because you could just learn the other one pretty well. Just give me like 2 weeks and and this is not a flex. It really is just like give me a dedicated amount of time to learn it, and I'll learn it if I have to do it, if that's my job, right? But if it's like I said, if it's someone new that's kind of breaking into tech, like I don't want a new developer learning 4 different frameworks, because there's really no point, because I'd rather have you focus on building a good product, like a good project at the end of the day, using like one framework, one language, and whatnot. But once you get that experience, yeah, up to you. Like my own laziness is what's causing me not to learn Shopify. But like if I really, really am dedicated, then yeah, I'll do it. Like right now I'm learning a lot of AWS stuff out of because my job requires it. I love it now, but at the time, like I never had any desire to learn it, because I just never had to use any use case for it. So companies will still use it, but I think it's more like at a general like if you just look up numbers, even on Glassdoor, or not Glassdoor, but like Indeed or whatever, you'll notice like way more numbers are popping up. Yeah,
there's a huge difference, and everybody that uses Vue, they know it. Like, and I always tell this to people, I wish they would stop like bringing up like, but Pornhub uses Vue.js, and freaking it'll be like some random company, like they use Vue.js, and then you go in there and be like, it's like a link on the footer. Like they created a component on Vue.js for the link. It's like, oh yeah, somebody says, oh, you want to do this thing in Vue, and the guy that was in the tech lead says, go ahead, kiddo, knock yourself out, go build a footer in Vue.js. Like nobody cares, sorry to throw some shade, but it's the truth. Like you go to even like staples.ca, or even like let's say, for example, Netflix, right? Netflix uses like almost every framework, every language, every single thing that's out there. That's one of the companies that use every single thing that's out there, because they allow developers to come in and decide what they want to use for their projects. Now, people think just because something says, well, Netflix has it, like as if that was the whole infrastructure. No, the majority of the infrastructure of Netflix is React. Because they're using our internal tools with Vue.js does not mean Vue.js is like the main framework. It's like one guy, they gave him the freedom. He was able to choose Vue, but That's it. But that's not what the industry is asking for. And you
Yeah.
can look it up. It's go to Glassdoor, go to Indeed. The jobs are there. You go in and you see thousands of jobs. Vue.js has like 150. So that tells you everything. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Even you hates me because he knows my channel, but he's like, yo, he hates me. He's like, yo, man, this guy he's always shooting me down, shooting my framework down. It's not personal. It's just the facts. You know what I mean? Even you, I love you. You're a great developer. You're a hustler. I love that, right? You're an inspiration to me, even for myself. Like I look at you as an inspiration. So congrats on your great framework. You're killing the game. Okay, but it's the truth. You know it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think for me, one thing one of my old coworkers like really taught me well is like be a good JavaScript developer. At the end of the day, it's like if you know your JavaScript, you could really adapt to any type of framework. Oh, man, honestly, it's just a bunch of mapping and for eaches. Anyway, so, like, it's literally just loop over an array and do something with it. So, that's what like front end development is. But hey, man, I want to shift it over to you. Let's turn this into a coding phase show. Like, do you have any questions for me? And then maybe we could then end it out, and you could kind of give us your final words of wisdom.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Let me know. I mean, how's everything going over there at Mr. Amazon's, at Jeff Bezos' house? How's everything over there? How they treating you over there? Do I gotta go represent you?
No,
I gotta go to the offices and be like, yo, treat my boy good. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely challenging, but at the same time, it's pretty cool. Like you would think like working at a big company, everyone's like a huge team of like 20, 40 developers, but it's actually you work in like these really like mini startup teams essentially. Mm-hmm. So you, depending on the type of project you're working on, and I think I got really lucky that I'm working on this really, really like innovative project, and it's very challenging. And got hired as a front end dev, but doing some like full stack application, which I'm not going to complain about because I was talking to you this about in private, but like if I was learning some weird proprietary thing that no one ever uses and all of that stuff, then I'd be kind of a little annoyed. But damn, AWS, like, and I get paid to learn it. Like, why not, man? Like, that's like the best situation to be
They would have had you in the Teletubby cloud. It was like, yo, you want to learn the Teletubby cloud today? Nobody's ever gonna use this thing.
Exactly.
But it's only for us.
Yeah,
nah, but that's good. They got you learning AWS. You learn, you're gonna be that guy. Once you finish with this project, you're gonna be that go-to guy. You're gonna be like, oh, now I'm very comfortable with AWS, and that's the best thing, you know, especially when you go to a company and you learn. And like sometimes one of the best companies are the ones that you go in there and you leave out of there. Not saying that you're gonna leave, but I'm saying like you leave out of there with so much knowledge, because that's what you're really signing up for. Like, yeah, it's a great pay, it's a great badge, right? But nowadays you're gonna leave out of there with a very good understanding of the whole infrastructure of AWS, and AWS is probably the number one cloud service out there, period. So so it's like it's not a bad skill to
learn. And I mean, I think you were kind of mentioning like the 5-year, like every season you're changing into something different. I mean, like I got kind of lucky, and this man just got disconnected.
No, I mean, I'm here. I pressed the wrong button. I got a black magic. I could do a whole bunch of things, and I pressed the wrong
you put like some horn sound or something.
I pressed the wrong thing. My fault.
No, but yeah, I mean, it's been a good transition. Honestly, I'm like learning so. I think I got kind of complacent, to be honest, my last 2 years at my last company. And just because you just been working on the same code base for 5 years, you just know where everything is, right? Mm-hmm. And literally in 3 months, I've learned more than I have in the past 2 years at my other job, just because just putting myself in uncomfortable situations, right? Like in some regards, I'm glad I'm not just doing front end stuff, because then it's kind of boring in some ways, right? Like the struggle makes it a little bit better, and like you're actually learning new things and making yourself more valuable at the end of the day. So yeah,
I mean, you had a Command C, Command V job before. After a while, you just like, well, I did this component before, and you just.
I know. I mean, that's the thing. But I mean, like, I think one thing that kept me at that last company was, I mean, comfortability. But at the same time, like, my raises were good, because I know you're asking. I know you kind of joke like, "Oh my god, like, why would you like best way to make more money?" But like. If you're good at what you do, you can like, you justify.
If the company's taking care of you, I always tell people like, yo, the point of moving to another company is because that company is not taking care of you. If that company is like, yo, every year you be like, damn, I want to leave. The owner comes in, yo, Tech Rally, here you go, kid. It makes it rain on you. Why would you leave? You're like, all right, cool. You keep me for another year.
You respect me.
You respect me. You respect my time. Thank you for valuing my work. Shoot, if I had a company like that, I probably would have stayed there the whole time. But a lot of times, companies, they look at you as how you came in, right? I don't know if you understand what I mean by that. When, let's say, somebody comes in as a junior developer, right? You spend a whole 6 months, a whole year there, and they're still looking at you as that little junior developer that came in a year ago. If they can't value that you've already grown and the skills that you've had and that you even learned with them is worth more than what they're paying you, that's when you have to jump. You have to say, okay, thank you, man. I always give like opportunities to companies and be like, hey, man, listen, you know, this is what developers are with their skills, that's what they're going for. And they're like, well, you know, we're having, you know, we got to do some cuts right now. We got to, maybe in 6 months, they're offering me that for Monday. You let me know, like, you can match that. Oh, no, not right now, because they always think that you're too scared to leave to a new job. I'm the type of person, I'm like, all right, cool. You won't see me on Monday. I won't be here. Okay. Thank you.
I mean, I did the same thing with in general. Just be proactive about your career, right? Like no one's gonna give you money willingly, more money willingly, right? So at the end of the day, you just like kind of not an ultimatum, but just be like, hey, this is what I'm worth, and if you don't agree, that's fine. Nothing personal. It is what it is. And like if I believe that I can make money, it's a business decision. You gotta treat your life like a business. Otherwise, you're gonna be like, oh, I really hope that, you know, like little Billy's like, oh man, I hope I get that 5% raise. You know,
some dude showing. I was like, man, I hope that this year, this is my year. I'm gonna be tech lead. And it's like, no, you're not, buddy. And then bringing in the guy that just dropped out of college, and now he's in your team, and he was there for 6 months, and he got picked. You're not going past that. Wherever you're at right now, you're not going past that. They're not looking at you as somebody that's valuable. So that's when you got to say, you know what? I got to get out of here, because other people is going to see what I'm worth, right? But
I'm sorry. I'm taking my talents to
South Beach. Yeah,
so good.
Exactly, just like that. I'm taking my talents to Seattle. Like,
no, they got a New York office, so I'm good here.
Okay. I see.
But no, I mean, we definitely need to do something in Miami or whatever when we get like all those restrictions lifted. We'll get a bunch of YouTubers out there, get some like collaboration mastermind going, and I'm sure we could give our audience a good show.
I got a link up with Dennis Ivy. Yeah. He lives here now. He's like 45 minutes away from me. Every time that I'm like, yo, I'm about to go. I'm probably gonna go this weekend. Now that you reminded me, because I'm like, you know what? He's 45 minutes away. Let's just link up. But bro, if you was out here, you know, we would have been linked up already. Because I was like, yo, Tech Rally, come down to the crib, barbecue. You already know I got the couple of beers and we got some great goose.
I'm still laughing about that story about one of your subscribers that drove. He fell asleep in the tub.
Yo,
I was working that day and I could not focus.
Yo,
it was
bro,
so funny. He's like, yo, I slept for like 14 hours. I went from like 50 to 30 years. That story was just like,
yo,
I cracked them so hard. I had to close my IDE and everything. I'm just gonna listen.
Bro, this is the first time. Shout out to my boy Cam Perry. Go check him out. He also has a podcast, Between Two Dips. Definitely go check him out. Yo, Cam comes. This is the first time I've talked to Cam plenty of time. And I always tell people I'm super open. Like, even one of you guys tell me, yo, I'm in Tampa, you don't got a place to stay, bro. Shoot, you can stay in my crib. I ain't worried about nothing. The blickies always own me. You ain't gonna do nothing stupid in my house, right? So I tell Cam, I'm like, yo, Cam is doing a freaking out of state cross country trip, and I'm like, Cam, come down to you're going to New York, come down to over here, man. So he comes in, right? So I have my boy Cam. And he comes through, and then we there in the house. I give him a little Grey Goose. Cam hasn't slept in like 14 hours, bro. I give him a little Grey Goose, laced him up. He's like, yo, He starts feeling woozy. He's like, yo, I see him with a big smile. I'm like, okay, let's give him some Spanish food. Gave him some Spanish food, filled him up. Bro, next thing I know, I'm like, yo, we're about to play some PlayStation or something. I'm chilling in the crib. Cam was like, yo, I'm gonna take a quick shower. Next thing I know, I'm thinking Cam came out. I'm looking for Cam. I'm like, yo, Cam. I go down the block. Cam. Because I'm like, yo, I don't want this dude. God forbid he got something happened to him, right? Now, this is like the first 42. Was it the first 42 hours?
First 42 hours.
Yo, I'm looking for him. Like, yo, God forbid something happened to him. So I don't want that on my conscience. I'm looking for him everywhere. Next thing I know, I see Cam like probably like an hour later coming down like nothing happened. And I'm like, yo, Cam, I've been looking for you all over the place. Where the hell you been? Yeah, man, I was in the shower and I just got in the tub. I turned on the tub on and I just fell asleep, bro. And I'm like, yo, Cam, like I'm worried about him, bro. Cam was sleeping there for like an hour and a half, bro. But in my head, I didn't think that he was still in the bathroom because it was so long, bro. It was like half an hour from the time that he told me that he was going to go to sleep. And then I'm thinking like, yo, something happened to him. I mean, he went to the store. He met somebody. I don't know, man. But for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, I'm looking for him. Cam was sleeping on the tub. Freaking out like, yo, Cam, for real, bro? Like,
so I think the rule of thumb is everyone's gotta sign something. Just Cody Face is not liable for it.
I'm not liable.
Sleeping on the tub.
Yeah, yo. God forbid Cam would have freaking passed out in there. I'm like, yo, I would have went open the door. It's a dead body in there. Like, yo, now this is a story. YouTuber bodies his subscriber. I'm like, yo, what happened? I'm in there like I'm in there on TV, like, yo, high time to go to sleep. Like nah, but yo, Cam is super cool, man. I love that guy. We definitely gotta link up. He's crazy, man. Good energies too, man. But like I said, we gotta link up over here, man, for sure. Yeah. Florida is the new wave, man. Like I wouldn't be surprised Amazon opened up a new office in Miami because Miami is the new New York. New York is the new Oakland, right? It's like this shit is, it's like this shit is getting out of style. This shit is like, yo, nobody's really going over there like that. Now you have New York City becoming like this place that companies are leaving, right? Yeah. And it's just not worth it. The amount of money that you're paying there. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're paying top dollar, and you know, Tech Rally gets a room. You know what I mean? Like, I know, Tech Rally could have a house.
It's that city tax. It's that city tax.
Tech Rally could have had a house for what Tech Rally pays. He could have a house. He could have a freaking a dog. His dog could have a house. You know what I mean? Like his dog's dog could have a house. You know, for the type of money that he's paying over there. But
yeah, dude, I'm gonna be more New Yorker than you.
word. You're gonna come back with a whole bunch of lingo that I'm like, yo, what he says? Like,
yeah, we'll get some two bros too already.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. But you know, like I said, I love this channel. For anybody watching this live stream right now, coming from my community, subscribe to this guy, Tech Rally. I love his channel. I love what he's doing here. Seems like a solid dude. You know, I'm always, you know, I'm Mr. Kumbaya, aka, you know, I support everybody that's coming up because I wish somebody would have done that for me. Nobody's ever done anything for me, but now I do it for everybody because this is how you make a change, right? Yeah. You come in and you help each other out, and at the same time, people that are genuine, you want to go in and open doors and try to help them out as much as you can. Plus, his content is really good, and what I like is, like I said before, even on my channel, is that his content is very real and he's just giving an honest opinion, right? It might not be what you want to hear, and it might not be like what's trending or what's popular. Like I've never seen a trendy title on Tech Rally's videos. Like, yo, Tech Rally, Tech Rally's like, yo, I'm just creating a topic, you know, talking about this topic, creating the video, and that's it. And then if you enjoy this content, you're gonna watch it. But at the same time, you know, it's a legit channel that you guys should definitely subscribe. You know, I put my stamp on it. You know what I mean?
Perfect. Dude, I'm gonna clip that. I'm gonna clip that. That is there's no way you planned that.
Now press the button, bro. Yeah, man.
Oh man, this is too good. It's a great way to end, but
yeah, man.
Dude, I mean, I honestly appreciate it, dude. Yeah,
Sony camera it was already giving me like this. You know, when it's choking out, I was like, yo, hold on. My battery dying. Like, hold on, bro, bring me back.
That's the cue for us to end. But no, honestly, I really appreciate the words of encouragement, and like seriously, a lot of your content is really good and really opens my eyes to just like, it doesn't have to just be about coding, right? There's just so many other things out there that you can like experiment with. So at the end of the day, man, like that's what he's like turn off his lights while I'm trying to give you some
No, because this camera needs a lot of light, and then this camera is like, yo, the lighting is like, yo, hold on, it's too much.
Oh, shoot, Coding After Dirty is here. But too bad we're ending. But no, honestly, like I think it's a good blend, and I mean, really appreciate those Stimmy subscribers on my channel, and like hopefully I can help your audience with like my advice as well. And like, you know, at the end of the day, we're just trying to help out people break into tech, and I think that's ultimately the goal. So yeah, I think we can definitely work together on like some future collabs, and let's see what happens, man. 2021. A lot of good things can come out from this.
Yeah, and as you can see, this is natural. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I like about Tech Rally and what he does here. This is more like a natural conversation. This is just us hanging out, right? And talking about different topics. It's not like, oh, I gotta come here. It's like, hold on, let me put my monocle on. Like, I gotta, you know, like,
put my tie on.
Putting my tie on, putting my monocle. I could be myself. Ain't nobody judging, right? He enjoys the content that we create. He's also been a subscriber for a while, you know. So it's not like a random individual. There's sometimes I hate when people pop up on like my live stream, like for like 2 days, two to 3 days, just like, hey, and in your live chats. And it's like, yo, you've never been here before. Like, and then
get me on, bro. Get me on.
Like, yo, they'd be like, yo, for a long time, they'll be like, yo, every day, y'all know what I'm talking about. People know what I'm talking about. They'll be like, yo, they'll show up to the live streams. They'll show up to the chats. They might do a $2 super chat. And I'm like, yo, bro, like, like, hey, man, notice me, Joe. You give me a shout out, Joe. And then we come in, we bring them in, and we never heard from them. You know, after that, we never hear from them ever again. But Tech Rally is a genuine dude. I like this guy a lot. It's good energy. Reminds me, I don't know why, but Tech Rally, you remind me a lot of my son Ethan. So it's like,
bro,
yo, you remind me just like my son Ethan. So I'm like, yo, so you give me that vibe. I'm like, yo,
bro, I'm turning 32 years old this weekend. Actually,
I know. I'm saying the thing is, like, I think of you like a long lost uncle of Ethan, and it's like, yo.
He's the second coming. I'll be his what do you call it, godfather?
The godfather. Yeah, man. But look, man, it's a lot of good energy, and as you can see, this is genuine. This is like natural. So it's good to see this collaboration between us because people enjoy it. People see that there's a good dynamic, and it's nothing fake and nothing like we're trying. It's like, no, we just hanging out, we chilling, right? And people enjoy it. So we're gonna be doing this a lot more often. Who knows? We might drop a podcast or something.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too. Podcast, we'll have a third guest or something every now and then. You know, like
that'll be lit, bro. That'll be lit. It'll be like, yo, Joe's hypeness and Tech Rally's calm voice is like the calm before the storm. Like,
man, I still don't get why people think I have this like great calm voice. It's like, I think if you hear me in person, it's just like normal, but yeah, it is. I'll take it, man. I'll take it.
The calm before the storm.
The rally before the face. I don't know.
Word.
But somebody anyways, man, honestly, Joe, Coding Face, like really appreciate you coming on, and gotta do that one last plug for you. You know, if you want to learn how to code, you gotta go on codingface.com/techrally. Get how many percent off? 20? Is it 20?
Yeah,
20% off. Yes. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just like try it out for a month or two, and if you don't like it, then just stop using it. It is what it is, right? So like you just if you don't take a chance on yourself, like how else are you gonna learn? So I definitely really appreciate like the content that you're doing, and you're not like, yeah, you're selling individual courses, but at the same time you have all of these courses in a bundle where like it's just subscription based. It's like Netflix. So I don't know. To me, it just makes sense. But I would highly encourage everyone here, take a look and see if you can like build applications at the end of the day, and then start applying to jobs. So obviously, I'm not the greatest salesman, but you know what? It is what it is. And,
yeah, look, man, what I would say, guys, look, if you never tried codingphase.com, come try codingphase.com. It's a great platform. I'm putting a lot of work into this platform to create all of the courses that you need to become a developer and get hired. And then not only get hired, but also quit the job. So if you're interested in that, okay, go and try codingphase.com. It's literally $20. And you also supporting your boy Tech Rally when you use codingphase.com/Tech Rally. Okay.
So obviously Joe's been practicing way longer than I have. So one day when now that I passed 2,000 subscribers, I'm going to build that course, practice my lines, and just going to finesse this next time, guys. So I really apologize, but it is what it is. Anyways, thanks for coming on, everyone. Thank you for the 68 people that are still here. You guys, I really appreciate. This is the biggest live stream I've ever had, and obviously, let's keep it going for next time. And everyone, have a good Thursday night, about to be Friday morning, and I'll see you in the next stream. Bye.
Peace and love. You already know. Cheers.